Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from Taiwan. I'm Sandy Chi. Taiwan is prone to natural disasters, from earthquakes and typhoons to inclement weather and flash flooding, all of which can lead to even urban communities being isolated or overwhelm emergency response teams. To reduce the damage and risks caused by such disasters, Taiwan not only has its official emergency response efforts, but also T-CERT, the Taiwan Community Emergency Response Team. Today, to better understand such team, we're joined by Wang Jieh-jiuh, a research fellow specializing in risk and disaster management. Professor Wang, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me to join.
So Professor Wang, can you first tell me what exactly is T-CERT?
Once a large disaster occurs, the government's manpower is limited. And may be not able to get to the disaster-affected area as soon as possible. So during the time, maybe 3 hours, 6 hours, I think those times are very, very important for people to survive. So we want people to have those kind of capability to join and to save themselves and to rescue their neighborhood. So we set up the team. So maybe you have two different ideas toward the program we are promoting now. One is Disaster Relief Volunteer, we call it DRV. And the other is the Taiwan Community Emergency Response Team, we call it T-CERT. DRV is focused on the individual empowerment. So we said the target is that the knowledge comes first and followed by the operation. And the T-CERT is especially focused on the team's work. So we hope them have the operation comes first and knowledge as the support. Because those teams, we want them to have the same structure, to do the same training. They need to share the same vision and have the same structure, have the same terminology. So they need to have a good chemistry when they're doing those kind of works.
So we understand T-CERT is a team. Like what exactly does the team need to consist of? For example, how many people, or is there a specific age or like anything?
In these years, we start to think about what Taiwan needs. So as I mentioned, we need to save people immediately, but once they cannot get access to those affected areas, we need the people to save themselves. So we set the goal that people only need to save themselves. So we said that they are site-based. So for example, we have the community, we have the medical institution, we have the schools, and for maybe the apartment. So when you work here, you live here, you have 25 people can join, you can organize a team. So in Taiwan, we now have the goal to set up 80 teams every year. And every teams, they need to have a 3 years training. The first year, they need to receive those kind of training course. And the second year, they need to pass the drill. They don't get the certified T-CERT until they pass the drill test. And the third year, they need to have a commitment to sustainable operation. So this is a 3 years schedule for their work.
Talking about being qualified to become a member of T-CERT, can you tell me about the training and what qualities does one member need to have?
They don't need to have any kind of qualification. They just be enthusiastic to join. They want to receive those kind of training. So we set a series of classes for them. In the whole training, we want them to have at least 5 different kind of capabilities. They want to learn about the disaster assessment. That means they need to learn how to evaluate the scope and the severity of the disaster area. And then they need to learn how to do the very initial and the very basic light rescue. So we will give them the very basic techniques to save people during the emergency. And when we save the people out and get people out, they need to do some medical treatment. So they need to learn how to do the very best medical care. And followed by that, they need to learn about how to the psychological support. So those kind of training we all set into our classes.
Well, to be honest, for official emergency response teams, they do the same thing over and over again. But for T-CERT, it feels like they have their own jobs, their own lives, and they don't encounter such issues that often. So how do you keep them like ready at all times? Do you review or like what more needs to be done? Because it's just 3 years. And I think that to become a member of T-CERT, it's a long-term thing, right?
In my idea, I want to send them as volunteer-based teams first. But in order to give those teams as a model in the first 3 to 4 years, we have a designated base first. So in recent years, we designate those kind of teams such as the critical infrastructure, and we will have the medical institution and the schools. Why we want them to join? Because in our regulation, they need to receive those kind of training every year. So in the past, we review the past experience. We find that those kind of the training and the ideas they received in the past is not so robust, is not so sound. So if we want to make them can have those kind of function in the emergency, we need to teach them and let them know they need to actually have those kind of capability. So we order those kind of organizations and units to join first, and we can make sure they need to do that. So once things happened, they will be the model and followed. If the communities or other different kind of companies, they are interested in these works, they will apply for those kind of program.
See, so it means that even if natural disasters don't occur, you help them review it yearly and go through training.
But in the past, we don't actually strictly ask them to do that kind of training. But through the T-CERT program, we think it's maybe a chance for them to have the maybe the right knowledge and the right behavior to know what kind of situation or the situation they were aware during the emergency, to let them know the truth is. Since we can know the world is changing, and those kind of changes will result in the many different kind of severity or occurrence of disasters. So we want people to face the reality and to maybe to equip themselves to make themselves ready. So we give them those kind of scenario, and then let them know we conduct in the science data and to let them know the real trend and why they need to do so. So after these 2 years of training or after the promotion in recent years, they start to know maybe the past experience is not good enough, so they need to do more.
How successful has the program been, and how many teams and members do you have so far, and where are they located in Taiwan?
In these 2 years, we started from the critical infrastructure. So we now have already 190 teams. In my program, the goal is 80 teams per year. We want to have at least 320 teams. But now more and more organizations and units that want to join. So it's a second year, so we now have 190. And we know there will be at least 30 more from the neighborhood and trained by the city and counties. So I believe in this year, maybe we will have at least 220. It is more than we expected.
So with 190 teams, how many members are there? How many members are there in the team, and why choose this number of people to be part of one?
We ask a team, they need to have at least 25 people to join. That means if they want to do something together, they need to have sufficient manpower to do so. So those kind of people, they need to have well trained. So during the emergency, so we try to set up the goals for different peoples. For younger one, they can do the rescue works. For the older one, they can do the logistic to even to deliver the meals or to deliver the water. They can do that. So from the community or from the critical infrastructure, the people, they always have their responsibility for their work or their jobs. But I think it's awesome if the people, they can have them more about those kind of the capabilities they need. They always can develop their own their mind. They can be stronger, they can be tougher, and they can be more faster and calmer during the emergency. So we invite people to join. We do not want to restrict. They need to under certain ages. All people are welcome.
So now we understand like these teams are distributed all over Taiwan. Where exactly are they?
We have those kind of teams at 22 cities and counties. But in these 2 years, we focus on the critical infrastructure. So every cities and counties in Taiwan have those kind of infrastructures. So at least each city and counties at least have 3 teams. And some city and counties have up to 9 teams. And the 190 teams, they are evenly distributed in the whole island.
So out of curiosity, so like these people, members of the T-CERT, they say themselves, their community, do they need to take any further responsibilities, let's say later on? Like they said that, hey, you did not follow the SOP, what you did was incorrect. Do they need to take responsibilities? Like what if something goes wrong during like their process?
We try to avoid these kind of conditions in advance. So that's why we need to set up the team as the basis. We want to then get the trend together, get the education together. We want to then to have the good chemistry. Those are all the preparation. We want to avoid anything wrong during the operation. But we can imagine those kind of a scenario when you meet the very urgent conditions. The worst case is that we cannot do anything. So I just let them know everything you can do is always good, and then everything you cannot do. So you just try to do everything you can do. But for those kind of mission or the goals, we want to train together to ask people they join and they can familiar with other guys and they can work together and then they can reach the goals together.
So now since pushing out the T-CERT program, how have people been reacting to it?
At first, people are always curious about why should we do that? And they always ask if we want to have the war. So we are preparing for the war. But once we have a very clear definition and a very presentation to them, to let them know, when dealing with the natural disaster, everybody only can survive or have the higher possibility to survive through the mutual aid and self-support. So I think Taiwanese people are smart. Once they know those kind of functions they need to have, and they can develop themselves and try to save themselves and save their families or communities, they can accept those kind of ideas. Yeah, so I think we can get it maybe more smoothly in the recent period of time.
Thank you for joining us today. It was great to hear insights on the show today. This has been Zoom in, Zoom out. You can find more stories on TaiwanPlus News by following us on social media. Thank you for joining us today and see you next time.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.